Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the RTSC Round Tables. I am so happy to be here with my awesome crew. We have an all-star cast today. We're going to have some awesome discussion. And there's been so much news in the Snyderverse recently that we can talk about. So I'm super excited about that. So I'm not sure who's who. I'm not sure if it's going to show up like this in the video, but to my left here, I have my friend Dustin, otherwise known as DTS, our Twitter exile. He's been away for a little while. How's it going? How's it going, Dustin?
Going good. It's a little quieter over there, but yeah, I've kind of been a little bit, kind of got out of, deleted my old profile from Twitter and got out of it, and just been keeping up with things on Vero, and that's how I keep tapped into the movement. But obviously things over there don't move as fast as on Twitter, so I'm not in the ether as much as I used to be, but still trying to keep up and
right
all the exciting news that's coming out. So
sure, no, absolutely. He's a great guy, great people. He's a passionate Snyder fan, so he's reason enough to go to Vero if it weren't for just Zack Snyder. But no, DTS, Dustin's a great guy. To my bottom left here, I have Ryan from the Nerd Rage podcast.
What's up, everybody? I'm good, man. I'm glad to do a video thing with you now. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to have you on. I know that you're a big fan yourself, and it's always great to talk to you. You're a very positive source of energy, so it's good to have you.
I'll talk Snyder any day.
Oh, yeah. Hey, absolutely. It's great to have you on. Rohan, you still have some sleep in your eyes. I'm so happy you're able to, I wouldn't be surprised if you're still in your pajamas below the waist.
No, all good. Happy to be here.
Good. You sound happy. You're just tired, right? That's what it is.
Yes.
If only Dustin could just reach through the panels and hand you his Red Bull,
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, and my friend Jeff, how can we? What's going on today, Jeff?
Hey, man, let's cut it off with the talking about what's below our waist. So I think Rohan was like, "Yeah, that's it, dude.
Listen,
You're done."
We're not. I don't want to start a competition here because I don't want to have to end it. This is RTSC round tables. This reminds you. So round tables means equal footing. It's all in the game. And of course, I'm your host, Millennial Mike, as well. So we have a lot of things to talk about. Some of the biggest news I think that's happened this past week or a few weeks, of course, is the interview that Zack had with Grace Randolph, which kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. And I think it's really great to see because Grace has been really gracing us with a lot of interesting tidbits, a lot of very relevant, informative, and even more importantly, correct information, which sometimes we don't always see from her compatriots. So it's really great to see that, and for her to get the interview at all, it made me feel really good. Like I had good vibes about seeing Grace getting the Zack interview. What did you guys think about it? The moment you saw it, was it a surprise? Were you like, oh, Grace got it? Like if it were someone else, would you have different feelings? Dustin, what do you think?
Well, I'm always excited to see content from Zack, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, it really, like you said, it made me feel good to see her get rewarded because she has been one of the people that have kind of been on our side for a long time, and she's caught a lot of flack over the years for things, and so it was good that she's kind of being proven out now, and then she's getting to break some of these getting these good stories and breaking good news before other people. So yeah, it's really. It's nice when you can I'll take Zack info from anyone. But
right. Of course.
Someone you respect and you can really feel good about the whole thing. So yeah, I enjoy it.
I mean, as long as you're not asking, him questions that are, I don't want to know about,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll watch that too. But how about you, Ryan? What did you think?
I mean, I think Mike, that I have a very mixed perception of like scoopers and bloggers and everyone who has their own opinion on everything these days. And I know that she hasn't been always right, but I still listen to her. And I always think that she has some inside credibility. I mean, I don't know to what extent. I really can't speak to anyone who isn't at like Variety or Hollywood Reporter. So when I hear her stuff, I always try and do what I do with everybody, which is to try and sniff it out for like, you know, how much is being played up here and how much is the real deal. And you know, seeing her actually interview Zack and get that information straight from the sources, like that's the stuff I want to see from just everybody these days. But of course, she was the one to get the good source. Scoop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was glad to see it.
Rohan?
Yes. When I saw that interview, right, like first of all, it was a surprise because I wasn't expecting that interview. And of all the people, Grace Randolph, right, getting that interview, right. But with Grace as well, we know that she's been right about a lot of things before. And I think, you know, like I am not a big fan of bloggers, generally speaking, right? Like because we know what they do and all that they influence and everything, right? So as probably a Zack Snyder fan, not a big fan, but seeing that interview and the information that was shared, I think it's good. I think right now what Zack Snyder is doing is he's sort of doing his own advertising, right? Which he's been doing from before. So, and Grace is on okay terms with the fandom, not with everyone. So he's doing that interview sort of advertising.
It's been getting better.
Yeah, it's been getting better. And I think he's right now doing his advertising and actually getting some of the things cleared, which a lot of people need to know about, you know? So I think it's a good thing. And we're probably going to see a lot more of those things in the future until the movies release.
Yeah.
Fandom, baby.
No,
ready for that?
Oh, fandom.
Yes.
Yeah, fandom,
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's funny how you say that things are starting to get better with people telling things how it is and giving him an opportunity. Go, Dustin, go ahead. Sorry.
I just feel like the whole tone has changed. And when you see these things, whether it's, you know, Zack and some of the others speak on the Justice Con today, or when he did the interview with Grace, or kind of how some of the other stars are speaking out, it's like they're not too apologetic anymore. You know, they're not trying to buffer the fallout for the studio as much. You know, it's kind of like all the things that we kind of tried to point out, you know, over the years, and a lot of people who were outside
finally, right,
didn't want to hear was, you know, maybe things aren't as copacetic as you think they are, and we're finally seeing them come out and really. I mean, they're not being extremely like violent or anything with it, you know, not just, but they're just going to say it like it is, and not really, and be more honest without having to worry about, you know, the kickback from the studio, which you can
right. Another really great person I've been really appreciating, who's been like, you know, hyping up the fandom and really kind of, you know, taking our side on the whole situation is Sean O'Connor. Also, you know, great. So with Grace and him, and, you know, I see others, even Jeremy Johns, he did that revisit with BVS.
I missed that.
Yeah, after I watched that, I'm like, man, I'm glad to see that people are starting to warm up to everything. So it's been great. Jeff, do you have any thoughts of that? I know you've been chomping at the bit.
Oh no, man, I'm enjoying this conversation. Everyone is coming strong. I think it was deserving to Grace to get that interview. I thought that was just perfect. What a end to that story. You know, that journey she's had for the last 4 years, having to only talk about the same movie every 2 months, which was whatever Marvel was releasing at the time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they were all the same. And it was, that had to have been a hardship for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's, when you're doing that kind of job, I totally understand that. When things are light, you have to make news out of something. It's we kind of make jokes about it sometimes, like, oh, it must be a light news week, but that's the reality of the situation. And it's like we appreciate them when we happen to be the big news, but when there's nothing, it's like so I guess you have to kind of there's a certain level of reality we have to accept when it comes to that. But no, I think things are turning for the better, and it's really been a good thing. So
yeah, I think you're seeing that right now, even with Comic-Con, for example. Like Marvel, I mean, with all due respect, because I love Marvel too, but like they're really not putting out anything. They had the Hellstrom trailer, which that just pretty much came and went. I mean, and then the tease of the New Mutants, which was great, but like that one feels like no one's talking about that either.
If it comes out, right?
Yeah, it just fizzles away.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, and that's true. I think that we're going to start seeing. I think fandom and things like it are going to be a lot more representative of what we're going to start seeing right now, with things like San Diego Comic-Con, kind of people dropping out, and other kinds of Comic-Cons and nerd cons like it. Game. What is the game one? The big video game one.
E3.
E3. Yeah. Like that's pretty much dead, right?
Yeah.
So, who knows? We could see a PlayStation Dome or something.
Right. Yeah, everything's going digital these days. I mean, and of course, COVID's part of a lot of that too. But like, I don't think we're completely out of the Comic-Con woods yet. I literally got an update that they pushed LA Comic-Con, which was the last one I was able to go to before everything just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
They pushed it to like December or something like that now. So I might go to like the only convention that they're even going to do this year, assuming all this stuff gets worked out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So amongst the things that Grace talked about, I think personally one of the most interesting things that she talked about was, or I guess that Zack talked about on the interview, was the long-running idea of the Snyderverse, a hotly debated topic that I cannot wait to talk about, because it's been very fuzzy. One could say prior to this video. You could even say that it wasn't very fuzzy prior to the video, but it's less fuzzy now.
Yeah.
Still fuzzy.
I don't know. I mean,
there's about peach fuzz at this point, but yeah, it's a little fuzzy.
Oh, dude.
To some people,
that's savage,
bro. That's our Lord.
Oh,
we're cultists, remember?
Oh, yeah. You can't say that.
Nah, I'm sure we'll get that full release HD on HBO Max soon enough.
Oh yeah,
that YouTube account. I mean, soon enough.
So, before we get into what was actually said, let's talk about our perceptions. Let's kind of nail down our perceptions of what we consider the Snyderverse, from a colloquial standpoint, the way that it was used, like in the fandom and in context. How did you guys feel? What did you guys feel that meant? What did the Snyderverse mean to you, Dustin?
I mean, back then we had the original plan. We kind of knew what it was. We didn't know, honestly, as much about the original plan as we know today. That's come out. And I always thought, like, we would get Zack's movies at the core and then everything else would kind of play off of that. But, I mean, one of the things that, like, when I noticed when the DCU first got off the ground and Marvel was well into its thing by then, is, like, I was thinking after I saw Man of Steel, like, we're going to get an entire universe, a connected universe of superheroes, but we're going to get it at the DC quality. We're going to get it at the Zack Snyder,
DC quality.
Yeah. Topical, like, type of movie that Zack does. Zack may not do all of them, but it's going to be that quality. And then that's awesome because I like what Marvel did. Like, it was expansive.
Yeah.
And they they really started that connected universe. It's something we always wanted to see. But if I can get that, but I can get it at the quality of Man of Steel, and I can get it at the quality of BVS, that's going to be something special. And then, obviously the tones changed.
Supergirl,
Yeah, and I thought the tone change was enough from Justice League on that you could tell this is not, like, even if you say there's these loose threads of connectivity, it just doesn't match. So, I mean, to me,
right,
those movies could never be part of the Snyderverse, even if Zack didn't say what he said on Grace's.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can have these loose threads that tie it together. Like, I could make anything work with some sort of off-camera story, that I tell you and say, oh, these two things are connected. But when you watch them, they don't feel.
Or, oh, Zack liked my post,
Right.
Yeah.
So it must be the same thing. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
So, like, what the Snyderverse means to me, first of all, I don't have any ill will against, like, how Marvel did it, kind of like what Dustin was saying. What they did was pretty impressive. I mean, to combine everything the way that they did, I didn't necessarily need Snyder to create this whole concept of a giant universe, but I respect him so much because he went further beyond, I'm sure, even what DC was expecting him to. Like, the idea that he was planting things like Martian Manhunter, way down the line, and this whole redemption arc for Superman to make him more empathetic, more relatable, and grounded, and feel like a real person that you could at least relate to on some level, other than just like he saves a cat from a tree, So I loved what Snyder was doing, and to see the shakeup of everything just kind of, it hit me in my core. I was still going out there and posting everything for Justice League, but deep down I was like, I could feel it, like, in the fibers, that there was something that was going on that was going to be wrong. And it was, even before they said Joss was a part of it, like, I could tell that they were monkeying around in BVS. I'm like, we're not going to see this universe for too long, but thank God that at least some of the pieces are still connected. Yeah. They're just doing their own thing now.
You could already tell in the press that they were kind of putting out that message, even if they weren't saying it directly, that, okay, we're trying to grab some of those Marvel fans. We're changing a little bit to make it more appealing, but it's still DC. It's still what you've been getting, since Christian Bale's Batman. So, but you could tell, like, that was going to alter it some, and then what we actually got was 3 standard deviations from altering it some. So, but yeah, you could already tell that they were trying to go down that road, and that gave you some concern. But being a huge DC fan, and you've been rewarded by watching all the previous movies so well, you're like, all right,
yeah, like, I got you, right?
A little bit, yeah. But what ended up happening is tectonic shift from even that. So.
Yeah,
right.
Big earthquake.
Rohan, what are your thoughts? What is the Snyderverse to you?
So, again, like, on the same points, right? To me, the Snyderverse was just seeing Zack's movies, right? Like, we know that, okay, Zack wants to tell a story. We got Man of Steel, we got BVS, we'll get Justice League, fine. So, wanted to see that. And I think around that time, we also knew that when Zack wanted to bring in other directors, right, they would serve his story, the overall Justice League story, right? Like, they will bring their own style, their vision, but they need to serve this Justice League story, right? And I think that point wasn't understood by a lot of people. And that, to me, is the Snyderverse, right? Like, because it's his story. He was brought in to helm DC at that point. So after Justice League, we know what happened, right? And, like, it's just an example.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah, what did go on?
We all know what happened, right? Like, so it's essentially, see, the point I didn't get was, like, as a studio, Warner Brothers had so much experience, right? They're, I think, around 80 years old, an 80-year-old studio, and they buckled so bad, right? Whether, like, influence from the bloggers or whether it was, Jeff Johns or whoever, right? Like, right? They buckle really bad. So
oh boy, Jeff's got something.
So the thing is, like, it just shows that people who were in power, right, the leadership team, they were getting influence in a way that is really unprecedented, right? Like, imagine you're at the top level, right? You're in the leadership position, and someone is influencing you in such a way for you to really change everything, right? A movie like Justice League is gonna get released after a few months, and you're like, nope, time to bring in another director and totally change everything. So, and another example, right? Like, let's say if you take Shazam as an example, like, people love Shazam, and I have nothing against that. But just because you can have a Batarang in there or something related to BVS in there, that doesn't mean that it's so connected in the same universe. You know what I mean? Like, that's just fan service. That's just to keep people like us like, oh, it's connected, right? It's still the same vision. It's still, and that's why a lot of people were still like, oh, it's Zack's vision. It's still Zack's vision. That Zack would be so. And
I mean, if it weren't, and just to kind of add to your point, I like that how you brought up like the idea of like, you know, like an item, a MacGuffin or something like that, and that being like the thing that tethers it to the two universes together. It's like, well, okay, if this didn't have the same logo, like if this wasn't Warner Brothers DC franchise, would you believe that? You know, like, I think a lot of people, like, before the whole Flash thing where they were like facing off, whatever, I think a lot of people understood that, like, hey, you know, these are two different, you know, universes. These aren't the same thing, right? Like, and that's the same way that I always felt personally, you know, like, you know, Shazam, Aquaman, you know, Birds of Prey, those movies feel like, and not even necessarily with quality, because like I don't necessarily like those movies, but I'm not going to say that they're DC CW level, right? And I'm not going to say that, you know, and I say in that same way, like that's the paradigm. Like, they're like the DC CW to the DCEU, you know, because like they're both the same franchise. The characters come from the same comic books, but they're not the same universe. And I think that, you know, for the most part, I always thought that was an understood thing, but maybe not. Continue. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So, see, some people understood that, right? And like, I'm not like saying this from like a superior position or something. Like,
do it. I don't care.
No. Like, the thing is, like, some people understood that, and some people didn't. And the thing is, whenever you try to reason with some people, they always had the same argument. Oh no, it's Zack's vision. It's what Zack would want. It's what Zack would want. You know,
get angry, man. Get angry.
No, I'm cool. It's just funny.
I'm just
so. All right. No.
I'm here for the show. You know.
Yeah. I'm not that invested. You know. I mean, so. Good joke. It's just been 3 years, so I'm not. You know. Every day on Twitter,
brother.
Yeah.
When
But
Grace
I think
Zack were interviewing, and he kind of made it clear that finally, which what a lot of us have been saying, and like, you know, saying, you know, I'm not taking a victory lap here, but I probably should, but.
Do
like,
it, man.
And I was watching it on the TV.
I'm a bad influence today.
Yeah, and you said this connectivity. I like reached down for the phone to like start Twitter and talk trash, and then I remembered I didn't have Twitter anymore. So that's the reason. That's the reason I left, is to prevent.
Too good for Twitter, huh? Okay.
That's great, bro. That's why you did it. That's why you did it.
Yeah,
cool.
The hand was going, and no Twitter. So
yeah. So I think now with HBO Max, I do think Zack would get to finish his vision now. I have that feeling now, just because the way he talked about it with Grace in the interview, you know, like into the Snyderverse, and one of the others said like, here you go, you can complete your vision. So, but we just have to show continued support, you know.
Sure.
So, you know, things can change so quickly, but I'm really glad that now we're getting the Snyderverse. So that's awesome. And I think in this cinema, they can keep doing their own thing, but it's, you know, I think it'll make everyone happy.
Sure.
Yeah.
More importantly, it makes me happy.
But $30 million more to make us all happier. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Jeff, what are your thoughts? What is the Snyderverse to you?
To me, man, this is gonna go. I'm gonna take you on a ride, I think.
Oh boy,
that sounds exciting.
All right, so
let her rip.
So yeah, I think that we're gonna see. I've even potentially the Watchmen in this. That's
a ride I want to go on.
Yeah, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if you see hints of his other films like 300 in the
Imagine
history
he
lesson.
even throws Sucker Punch into the DC franchise. Like, dude, I would straight up lose it. That's awesome.
Like there's room there too.
Yeah,
like
and
Dr.
it feels
Fate
like it could be a DC movie. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And I think they were trying to compete. So after the takeover, after the hostile takeover by Jeff Johns and company,
right?
They were trying to take it to the Marvel route because it was profitable. Why not?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's pretty. Now I think the Snyderverse means, hey, you guys want what you want? We're going to give it to you. These other fans want this other crap. They can have it too. But
and then so we have like DCEU crap, and then we have CW. I'm joking.
I think it all comes from the top. So
it's a top down affair, you know.
Yeah.
Like Snyder was telling.
But and who's at the pinnacle of that?
Yeah.
Who's going to reach the pinnacle?
All
Superman.
Right. Who's going to drink from the chalice?
That's right. Oh, I did during that interview, man. Grace had to interview him. She was, they were like old friends. That was cool, man. And that smile on his face.
Oh, he was looking good too. You know, he was feeling. He seemed like he was looking and feeling great, and he just that big smile on his face. It just, you know, that's so rewarding. Like I think that that is more rewarding than, like honestly, like when I first saw the Snyder Cut like logo, right? I didn't even know what to think, you know. But then when I saw Snyder like smiling so like jubilantly, I was like,
you know,
that's what it's all
like
about.
If you see his pictures in 2012, like before Man of Steel, and now before this Snyder Cut, right? Like up until let's say last year or something, he's aged a lot, like physically. You know, just because of the stress and all that he's gone through. So just seeing him smile like that, it's just like it feels good to see him, because this man has been through a lot, right?
Yes.
From his work and all that. So, and it was not good to see him age like this quickly up until last year. So it's really good to see him smile now and be happy, because he deserves that, you know.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. And I think that it kind of in a lot of ways mirrors the fandom. I think the fandom the fandom has a lot of elements to it. The fandom contains multitudes.
Tell us more.
Hey, don't tempt me. You know, I might have to get in trouble on YouTube.
You've been pushing us.
I get in trouble on Twitter. I get in trouble on YouTube now. But no, you know, so it's really great, and I'm just happy that you know, we can get him to this place, and you know, I want to see Ben Affleck smile, and I want to see Cavill smile, and I want to see them all. Yeah. Because they've all been through it, you know. I want to see Ray Fisher smiling, you know, and and they've all been through it.
That's true. You know, he was smiling at SDCC with that "I love ZS," and you really, I mean, you see it a couple times. I think that one time when after the cut was announced, he did that Twitch stream.
Sure.
And I think he smiled on that.
Yeah.
But he's been extremely grateful, and he's in a point where he's expressing all that's happened.
Yeah.
Like he finally feels like if the only way to truly get this weight off his chest is to just let it go.
Right. Right.
And boy, is he brave and bold, man. Perfect Cyborg pick.
The brave and the bold, huh? I like that. I like that. Okay.
He definitely seems like he's on top of his mountain again, and he's smiling with like content over everything that's happened.
In the
So,
interview, talking with he's talking with he's happy. He's talking with unapologetic, somewhat forced, about what he's got and what he's about to give you. And it's like, he's not worried about anybody coming, to this. He knows that we won the day. He's won the day. And that, he's not going to, he suffered through all that, his own personal stuff, as well as, one of his greatest creations being taken from him. And now that, because of all the work he's done, all the work we as a community did, he's going to get a chance to show the greatest superhero movie ever made in a vacuum with nothing else. Nothing else is going to be out there when this comes out. Everyone's going to be, hopefully things will be a lot better with the virus and everything by then. But still, it's created a void, at least in the media, no matter what we're doing then. But everyone's going to be still, focused on digital content, and that is going to just land right in their lap with nothing else. And I think he got so much pushback now that that's out of the way, and on top of that, he's been given money to actually do everything he wants to do. He's going to drop an absolute bomb, and he wants to do that thing. So
you're getting me too hyped.
I got to make a note. That was some good stuff.
Yep.
So now that we've all kind of talked about our own feelings about the Snyderverse and kind of what we thought about it beforehand, how do you think Snyder's recent comments in the interview with Grace changes what we knew, what we know going forward about the Snyderverse? Has it cleared anything up? Has your opinions changed since he said that, or are you just more resolute in what you thought previously? Dustin?
I'm more resolute, definitely, in what I thought previously about the connectivity and what we got and versus what we should have gotten. And, the tone changes being so separate that I've always said those films really aren't connected. And so, there's that. But really, beyond, getting that cleared up, that raises new questions. So it's like, okay, well, I feel good. I'm just speaking on my own feelings. I feel good because that part was validated. Not that I don't wish that those movies were better and connected, just that they aren't. It's like, I'm not saying that people can't enjoy those, but I guess it raised more questions to me that if those aren't connected to what the Snyderverse is, because I always thought, okay, we get the Snyder cut and they'll mesh it in with these mistakes. I don't want to say mistakes, but separate universes now, we can say.
Yeah, right. The multiverse, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're going to bring it back, and they're just going to pretend it didn't happen and go with that. Now that Zack said this, and I don't think he would have said it unless he felt like it wasn't going to harm the process, I guess,
Sure.
But now that he said that raises a question of, okay, does that mean that we're getting, now that we know these are separate, what are we getting around these characters? Because, okay, Aquaman's going to be in Justice League. Now let's say they continue that to the next Justice League or whatever movie they want to put next in the Snyderverse. So they're obviously going to do an Aquaman 2. So is that Aquaman 2 off of Aquaman 1? Or are we going to literally have him, doing an Aquaman movie in this universe, and then they're going to re-sign him to do another so many episodes if it's periodic or a separate movie in the Snyderverse? So are these actors literally going to do two separate versions of themselves? So my question is, I guess, from the question that interview opened up for me is, are we going to get the full Snyderverse? Are they going to continue off of Justice League? And if they are, they have to obviously use some of these actors that are in movies that Zack has made clear are not connected to his universe. So.
Right. Well, that's a great question. That's a very good question. Personally, I think that, ideally, I don't want any compromise. I want no compromise. I do think that we are entering a situation where we are going to compromise a lot less than we would have. But I think the creation of these other DC projects has created a market for them. And it's not so much about like, okay, whatever one gets the most amount of attention is the one that wins. It's like, well, no, if there's a market, there's a market. And if Warner Brothers has learned that they've alienated us, right, then they've also logically learned that they cannot alienate the fans that like the content that they've created. So like they've made Shazam. Shazam's a thing. Like, they're going to have to do a sequel, I don't think there is a Snyderverse version of Shazam, So, but and it also contains Henry Cavill. So, there's going to probably be a crossover there and things like that. My personal, and I'll ask you I'll pass the question on you guys too, because I think it's a great question, Dustin. Is do we really want to see a sprawling universe all helmed or even consulted by Snyder? Is that what we really, really want? Because honestly, I had this theory a while back that the reason why there's an issue with the MCU in my eyes, in my view, is because it's unmanageable. It's sprawled out so far. You have to prune it. You have to keep it reined in. And I think that it's got a little bit too large for any one person to really to really handle. I would have loved to see, Zack made like a 5-movie arc, right? That would have been great. And then basically you have like franchises that like branch off of that, and then he will like consult like on the first movie of each franchise, and then maybe after that he does a little bit less consulting and or something like that. That way you can kind of like he like, hey, here's a ship, I'm gonna get it, put the wind in its sails, and then after that I have to let it go. I feel like there's got to be a point. I don't want a Snyderverse that is like the MCU. I don't want that. I think Snyder does his best work when he knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. Anything out of his control, I think, is just going to start having problems, So that's my personal opinion. I'm not sure how popular that is, but I just think, logically, I'm not sure you could really do a MCU Snyderverse, if that makes any sense. But what are your thoughts?
You could, but I don't, to your point, I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, I love the idea of a director coming in, having a vision, and making an arc out of whatever they want, the hero's journey, that whole thing. And what he was going to do for Superman was, I mean, even though the term gets thrown around in different ways these days, make him great again in a lot of ways. Because I think you look back at like Superman Returns, and it just, I mean, maybe critics were cool with it, but he wanted to give something more to Superman, and he really had a good vision for what he was going to do. It's just sad that we didn't get to see it play out the way that it was supposed to. But as far as creating the whole universe, though, I really wish that this multiverse thing had come out sooner, because if DC had come out and said something like that, like, we're going to have this, I mean, I still want Affleck, but we can't do much about that right now. But they're doing the Batman. They're going to have Flash maybe even break open the universe a little bit more, like Spider-Man did with Far From Home, where they've got their multiverse. But I think DC really introduced that idea, and had they done that sooner, I think that really would have kept them out of this, we're playing second fiddle to Marvel thing that had been going on for way too long. The critics were doing it the whole time, and it was really annoying because I think DC carved their own path, despite the fact that people wanted to compare it to Nolan's universe the whole time. And they did a really good job. It's just sad that people wanted to nitpick it so much that it had to be, dissected and reassembled the way that it was, because now it's not as noticeable as it was before. Like, it doesn't have that unique authenticity to it because there's so many different cooks in the kitchen. But, to say that it's a multiverse now, I think we're gonna see that. I'm excited for Black Adam. I know that people were kind of iffy on Shazam and how that went, but I thought that there was a lot of heart in that movie, even if it didn't reflect Snyder's complete kind of vision.
Not allowed, Ryan.
I liked it. You know what I actually did? I watched Batman and Robin, and I just got the 4K set of those old Batman movies, and I still got a lot of love for Batman and Robin. I have a lot of problems with Batman Forever. That's a whole nother story. But
I don't think there's a bad Batman movie. That's really.
Oh, there you go.
I like all of them.
Take.
I mean, I have so much like just dumb nostalgic like love for those Batman movies, and most of the reasons because I watched those movies when I was young and like when those movies were made for me. Right. And then I didn't watch them ever again. So now, now my memory is like in that prime, I'm sure if I watch them again, I'd feel, I would probably still have some kind of rose colored glasses on, to be honest. But also too, that was during a time in my life where I wasn't really thinking about things like competition and franchises and Jeff Johns and executives and things like that. I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff at the time. So my vision was very pure, and I'm not saying that my view now is like sullied. I'm just thinking I was in a different place, a different mindset at that time. So, and also, jumping off of that, what you said, my fear about the whole Snyderverse thing is not that the whole entire franchise, because I've said this before, and this is also kind of a controversial thing too. I'm not a DC fan. I'm not like, and the reason why I don't say I'm a DC fan is because I don't live and breathe DC. I was only DC when I watched Man of Steel, and I'm okay with DC characters, but I really want to see a universe, or at least an arc, a story, a contained universe in the picture of that Snyder envisioned. So my fear is really that we're not going to get, I don't want anything to begin without getting to end. I want something to come to an end, to a conclusion. So Snyder started the story with Superman, his arc, right? I want to see that come to a conclusion. And anything else that branches off of that, I want to eventually see it come to a neat conclusion. If it becomes too convoluted, then anything can can start to go into a direction that we don't want to see, because it just keeps going. And eventually, if you keep profiting off of it, you keep evolving it until it, with whatever the tastes are, whatever the trends are, the flavor of the week, it's going to start looking, a little iffy. So I want to see everything that we have here now. I'm not like, hey, let's just push this and see how far we can go. Let's take it as far as it'll go. Like, no, let's get this to a place where we feel like, I'm gonna buy that steel book. It's gonna go on my wall. I'm gonna feel happy forever. There you go.
I don't know.
Rohan, go ahead.
How, like you're saying, I think the question, if you just pull all that out, is like, you have, Zack started the DCU and he had those first few movies. And they did want to do a more expansive universe, or at least we thought they did in the beginning. It's like, well, how much can you scale Zack Snyder? Like how much, you're saying how much, when you scale that up, at some point it's hard because you have so many separate teams doing so many separate things to like get that same energy and tone flushed through the whole universe. It just starts to diverge. But like, do we want, if we could have a 10-year journey, all quality Zack Snyder movies?
Right, of course. If you could ensure that. I'm just afraid.
Right, yeah.
If Zack says, I'm going to do it, then I'm okay. I'm with it. This thing, we don't know. Like, he's never really told us explicitly, like, but that's the thing. I think he has an idea. Like, I want the story to go from here narratively to here narratively. I don't think he's like, okay, 20 movies. Like, he's not like 3 phases. Like, no, it's not like that. It's just, this is the spot he needs to be in the journey, and then this is where he needs to end, and we're going to make movies to get them there,
It's more than tone. It's like, now that I've spent 2.5, 3 years just dealing with this chase for the Snyder Cut, I've learned a lot more about Zack Snyder, and it's more than just his style, it's his story too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's really separates his movies. So he has that style that we love, but he also has these awesome stories. And so, like you said, maybe we can get all these movies off of it, and maybe you can even do the hard task of making those feel tonally like a Snyder movie. But is it really better because Snyder had to change his story to accommodate all these
right
movies?
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is, it's actually like it's impossible to just have these movies keep coming out, right? Like there's because I attended the Hans Zimmer concert, right? And when he was going to start the Dark Knight music, right? He said that the Dark Knight franchise took 10 years of my life, right? And that statement carries so much weight, because you think, oh, he did Batman Begins and Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, like he said that it took 10 years of my life, right? So
right.
The thing is, like with Zack Snyder, okay, it started from Man of Steel, but the thing is, it's also impossible for him to look after each movie, right? And to try and take his tone to the other movies. So that's why I don't want all the movies to be just direction, just like Zack Snyder, because the thing is, we know how hard he works, right? Mm-hmm. And how much detail he'll put in each movie. So if he does that for every movie, that's so much, that'll be so much taxing for him, right? Yeah. It's almost impossible. So he can direction set, and he can set the vision, right? Like he can, if he brings in another director, he can say, okay, this is what we want, and let them do their thing. But to be fair to him, and I think that would be the case with any other filmmaker, right? Like he should get to complete his vision, right? And the other directors and other filmmakers can do their vision. And ideally, they would serve this story, because that's what we're invested in. The only reason we're talking about this is because we're invested in this, right? It's taken so many years. So it would be ideal if they serve his story. But now we don't... It's sort of like a gray area, right? Like in cinematic-wise, they're going another route, right? We know how different Wonder Woman 84 is going to be. And
I have some memes in my folder I can share. That may or may not have the Disney Channel logo on the bottom left corner.
Yeah, and now with this, they're going through the HBO Max route, right? So we'll see what happens, but I think, because here's another question, like, do you guys think that with this additional photography, right, is he shooting part of Justice League 2? Right. So
he's fixing that final race between Flash and Superman. He's making
probably.
He's Snyderizing
having to post
right. And because
here, I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it before, but here we go.
I just hope they fix Flash's running in general. That the Joss version, that where he looks like jogging like this. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
I don't know, because some of his running doesn't look like that. I really don't. I'm not insightful on that subject. I'm not sure if that's really the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I know that Snyder had some interesting ideas on the whole Speed Force and the way that he ran, it worked, and time travel. He had some really unique ideas that have not been used before. But skating, I'm not sure if that's how the Speed Force works.
I'm pretty sure it's not. Yeah. Honestly, there was some stuff that came out today where he was saying, if it even looks remotely like that other, the Justice League version, that whatever matches up to that was my shot. So I'm hoping to God that that scene and some other really wonky ones, I'm pretty sure that rooftop one with Batman and the Parademon is not going to be in there, that sort of thing. So I'm really hoping that I see a lot more new than I do of the old, you know what I mean?
Right. And hey, who knows, context could, it's a different movie. When you hacksaw a movie like this, parts that are good in a bad context can become bad. We have to just be open-minded, like we are with any Zack Snyder film. This is new. I've never been through an ordeal like this before.
Yeah. The fandom really hasn't either. So this is new for everyone, I think. Yeah.
Well, didn't Zack say today that he would burn the whole movie before using the scene?
Yes, he said he'd blow it up. Yeah. I love that integrity. That's so validating. It's so validating. I know Zack would never. He'd never betray me like that, So
just knowing that it's over 220 is going to be reaffirming too that how much did they really use in Justice League.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to open a lot of people's eyes that refuse to,
acknowledge the differences.
Yeah.
The moviegoer will be like, this is not even the same movie. Like,
Right.
It's an entirely
So cool, dude. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised that not enough has come out about the Flash side of stuff. I mean, we all know that there's going to be a centering of Cyborg as like the heart of the film and that sort of thing. But like, we haven't seen any of the tease of the Cyborg stuff with
all under wraps,
Nazis and everything. Yeah, I know. Well, I saw the photos the week that Justice League came out, but like, it's one of those things where it's just like, man, I know that there's so many of these scenes and they haven't been teased to the public is what I'm saying. And I just can't wait for,
we know there's going to be some choice scenes with Wonder Woman that were taken out because of scariness,
Yeah.
And aggressiveness. Way too aggressive, so.
That's pretty cool.
Aggressive.
I like an aggressive Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah. I like my women. My Wonder Woman aggressive.
She needs a sword.
Headhunter.
Oh man.
What was that blurry picture behind Zach today?
Oh, I think it was the photograph from the Wonder Woman 80, the original Wonder Woman that was shared between her and Bruce. I think it was all blown up right behind him.
A head. I thought I saw some like head dangling from her hand, and anyway.
I will say
That's
this:
all
it
wishful
looked like
thinking.
there was an extra person on the end, so I don't know. Maybe there was a original version of that photo too that might have more to reveal. But
yeah,
guess we'll find out.
Whenever a new Snyder thing comes out, you have the whole entire Snyder detective force coming in, and they split it up, and they completely, Snyder by the minute, Mosaic. I mean, everything just comes in completely, podcasts and everything. It's just, I cannot wait for that to happen. I mean, imagine if they do, if Snyder releases his movie first as a series. I'm all about, we've talked about this before. Maybe we can talk about it now if you want. The idea about whether it would be a TV series or a movie or both or, whatever he would do, innovate. But just imagine the Snyder fandom as obsessive as they are, right? Having to hang on every episode, every week. And all the... that would just be complete pandemonium.
Imagine how much content would be produced each week during the series, Just the amount of content.
Hero dies at the end of every episode.
And the clickbaits, the headlines would make me laugh so hard. I can just imagine.
Right. Well, we didn't talk about the shirt much, but I don't really know much about it.
I don't even know.
That just came out, I think, today. So yeah.
Right.
I just think it's cool because, it's just, to give it a picture for those who haven't seen the image, it's basically like the logo, and then it's got kind of vines coming out with it with like Roman numerals at the top. Mm-hmm. And on the back, it actually, he said something to the extent of like, if you buy the shirt today or whenever it's officially revealed, I think it's like fandom or whatever. Yeah, if you can, because I'm sure they'll be sold out real fast. He'll put it says associate producer on the back. It'll end up saying your name or whatever. So it'd be like Ryan Anderson, associate producer, which would be pretty awesome. I'd wear that.
You're on YouTube. You're on YouTube, bro.
Oh, cool.
Is it just for US? Bro.
Probably is just US. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people are saying.
I'll buy two, man.
I'm so mad.
Give me.
I'm always excited for new Snyder. When is he gonna get a pop? I mean, I hate pops.
Oh, he'll get a director's one.
But like for some reason, it means you've won when you get a pop. So like he deserves a pop. Give him an ugly, beady-eyed looking pop, and I'll be happy for some reason.
Wearing the shirt.
The stardom goes like he's the hottest director out there right now. If you think about it.
Right.
That was the first question off the hook. Yeah.
I mean, they're giving Patty Jenkins one. He's got to get one. Probably when the Zack Snyder's Justice League releases, they'll probably time it up with that. Mm-hmm. Get as much promotion and merchandise as they can out with the thing.
Sure.
That's what they do.
Yeah, because they're going to start to hype it up, because like just looking at the process, I don't think it's going to be that long before the advertising goes full force. So he's doing these little snippets here, like this Grace Randolph interview and this. So I think DC fandom will have some more stuff.
Oh yeah,
interesting to see. Yeah,
they were supposed to be because they've got like the island or whatever that you can go here, and here. I think one is just dedicated to merch. So as soon as he announces something here, he's probably like, click here to find all the stuff we just talked about, and that stuff is going to sell like hotcakes. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, my wallet will be empty yet again.
Right.
Do you guys want to get into Ayer Cut?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So there has been an ongoing petition, ongoing movement for the Ayer Cut, as following the steps of the Snyder Cut movement, and our pals over at the Release the Ayer Cut Twitter page, and all the people associated, people who are supporting it and supporting the Ayer Cut all together, have been doing a really great job. The last movement that they did, 100,000 in the first day trending. So absolutely amazing. They only had, I believe, like a few days. It was like, I think it was, what was it? It was on, it was like less than a week that they had. It's just a few days to actually create the entire thing. So that was a real tribute to how much passion and how much interest there is in the Ayer Cut. So just in general, let's go ahead and kind of do a round table. A little redundant, but and what are your guys' thoughts on just the Ayer Cut in general, Dustin?
I'm excited to see it. I guess for me, I really want that movie. And I'm obviously not on Twitter right now, so I haven't helped out with any of those campaigns or anything. So I haven't been, part of that. But obviously, I really want the Ayer Cut. The thing that got me so fired up about the Snyder Cut, though, was also the personal side of it. With Zack and the things that happened to him and having his creation taken away during that time. With Ayer, he kind of had a lot of pressure from the studio, and he had nobody to back him up. So he did have to make those compromises, and he did have to, kind of go out and toe the studio line and things like that. So, and now he's really going out there and putting out, things from his version of the movie, trying to get people fired up. So for me, there was more of a personal, I've got to correct this wrong done to a man that had something really bad happen to him and with a personal tragedy on top of having his creation taken away, which is huge for an artist. So I feel like my passion isn't as strong. I have to admit that. I got to be honest, but
sure, yeah,
I'm really excited to see it, and I think people should really try hard to get it. And Ayer is coming out and clearing the air, and he's doing his best to help us. So. I think that's something we should definitely want to go see, because that's only going to complement the Snyder Cut, especially if, which I'm not as well versed on the Ayer Cut, as what's in and out, but there's a lot there that will provide a lot more world building for Zack's universe. So I think it's definitely very important, something we should go and get. So yeah, that's my feelings on it kind of overall, but.
Okay. Yeah. No, thanks, Dustin. Let's throw a curveball. Let's have Jeff go. What are your Ayer Cut musings?
Hey, what are you wearing, dude? You're supporting. Look at that. That's beautiful, brother. Don't ever forget it, man.
What is this shirt?
It's an Ayer Cut shirt.
Oh, is that
that's
the
nice,
people as
man.
well?
I haven't seen that one
sweet.
Yet. Yeah, I got 20 over here.
I really should buy one. I'm just rocking personal merch. So that's a good shirt, though.
Tired of it.
Yeah. I won't wear anything else. This is my comfort. This is my security blanket right here.
It's good, man. My son, he's always in it, man. I got all my kids, all my family got the hoodie. So, anyways, Ayer Cut, right?
Yeah. You're a big supporter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The guy, it's all about artistic integrity, right? And that ties in with Jared Leto too. There's a lot of muted.
I didn't actually really think about that, because like I really do love Jared Leto and his acting and his version of the Joker. So
the cast is lit. Like people don't people forgot really how lit that cast is. It's crazy. I mean, Will Smith, Margot, of course, Jared, Viola. I mean, geez, Viola did incredible.
In it.
Give me some more Viola. And David Harbour, he had a great performance in it too. I'm not a big David Harbour fan. I know, but I just watched it last night, the extended cut, and I realized he was the guy talking about Superman in the board meeting. He was the guy, dropping that heat in the board meeting. I'm like, dude, that's David. He's shaved. He's shaven. He's not Stranger Things looking David, but
I think he looked good. Yeah.
No, he looked great. I was really excited to see him. So.
I mean, Jai Courtney, I became a fan of his again after that because he had kind of had some, I mean, let's be honest, a little bit of stinkers around that time. So I was like, oh, okay. Jay Hernandez, I mean, to me, the heart of that film, and actually Ayer would say it later.
Yeah.
Inferno, or El Diablo, sorry. I got too many characters in my head.
Pass vote.
Yeah. But yeah, El Diablo was my favorite thing. I walked out of the movie and they were like, El Diablo was your favorite? And I'm like, why? And then I would categorically go through why I thought he was great. And now finally Ayer's acknowledging like, yeah, I put him as the heart of my movie. Like he's in my opinion, the cyborg of that movie. And he doesn't get enough attention that he deserved. And then even Karen, Fukuhara, who got a lot of her scenes cut, who played Katana. Like there's so much on the cutting room floor that never made it.
She had like nothing to do in the movie, but she just looked so cool. I mean, she just looked sharp. That mask and in the dark, and she just looked like, man, like slay me,
Like from comic to screen, man, it was just perfect.
She looked really cool,
and especially when it was raining and stuff. I'm like, man, that's just so aesthetic. Like put it right on a comic book or something, like noir. Give me more. I'm sorry. I'm really I'm just getting a little,
The Ayer cut does that to me too, man. I love it just as much as the Snyder cut.
And Jay, I loved the history lesson with El Diablo and his family. When they were showing that in the bottle, and then he was like flashing back, and then he said what he did to his wife, and then after that, who was it? He said it was Boomerang said, "What about the kids?" And then Margot's like, "He killed them." I was like, "Holy!" I was like, "Whoa!"
And you can see it crushes him the entire movie.
Whoa!
He carries it the whole time.
I was like, "Dang, that was heavy." So like
I haven't felt that much empathy for a villain probably since I had seen Zod prior, and I really got behind Zod, but man, there's something about that portrayal that I was like, I know I'm supposed to hate this guy. But I can see he's just going through it the entire film, and then he has that heroic moment at the end. I mean, it might have been a little different with Ayer's original version, but he really wanted to put him out in front and give him something workable. And I think he hit it out of the park.
That movie feels even. It's just it's so it's so quick. The movie goes by really quick and then it gets really slow. And even when it feels like there's things missing. It's hard to really.
Thanks, Trailer Park.
Right. It really just feels like there's things missing. And the funny thing about it is, it's more obvious. I don't know, with the Snyder Cut, they kind of had to. We knew he was messed up, but Snyder had to say these are my plans. This was going to happen. Darkseid was going to be in the film. They cut it almost so bad that we didn't even know what wasn't in there.
Yeah.
But then with the Ayer cut, it's okay, this feels like they just cut a scene that was supposed to be there. And it just seems a little bit more obvious in a different way. I'm not sure if
when they jump from the bar out to the street and all of a sudden Jai Courtney's along with them again, all right, well, I guess he had to change a heart or something.
Right. And I think the way that it was cut also, because I watched the movie again last night.
Yeah.
And when they went to that building, before they went to the big swirling, pillar sci-fi, doomsday, place. I was like, I still didn't understand it. I was watching intently. I'm like, why don't I understand why they're going here? Like, I feel like maybe there's more explanation or there was more like context behind the whole situation. So these are all things that like I'm excited for the Ayer cut to flesh out. And above all of that, and I'm not sure if you guys feel this way too, but above all of these issues that I just know are there, I love the movie right as it is. You know, I love it. It's like, it's stylish, you know, and it's just the characters and the interactions and the music is great. And then David Ayer on Twitter, he's promising more of that, you know, like, hey, and darker, you know, not so color. You could tell they colored it up. They GOTG'd it, you know.
Well, I mean, you can see the difference between that first trailer and where it ended up by the end of it. So, I mean, they were definitely adding colors across the board.
Sure.
Yeah.
That first trailer, when I saw it in theater, I was like, whoa, like this is the Suicide Squad.
See, and that's
like,
the thing.
Extra
like,
suicide.
You look at Joker in that trailer, and he looks like he's going to fuck you up. And then on the other end, you've got Joker, and it's like he's more cackling, I don't want to say like mobster. And I didn't really feel that sort of jokery presence from him. So I
pictures that David dropped, you know, like
right.
Yeah,
more intense for sure. The
Rohan,
thing that I wish.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you know, go ahead. No,
you got some thoughts, Rohan?
Yeah. So again, you know, with the Ayer cut, so I think it'll be interesting to see his version of Suicide Squad, like what he originally envisioned, and I think it's really going to complement the Snyder cut. Because it'll show the world building and the universe that was originally intended, you know, so, and how the other directors were supposed to support the Snyder's vision, if that makes sense, you know, so how everything was going to tie in together and the overall story that was going to be told. So I think in that regard, like, it's going to be really good, just to drive the fact home. And in terms of his vision, you know, like, we feel really sympathetic towards Zack Snyder, and I think the feeling is the same towards David Ayer as well, because it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all to have a project, right? You spend a lot of resources, money, your time, and it's like months and sometimes even years of preparation, only for someone to turn around and be like, yeah, no, you know, it's not going to happen. So the sympathy is there. Yeah. Excuse me, you know, Warner choppers. I love the phrase Warner choppers. So, you know, the feeling's the same. And I think it's going to make him happy. It's going to make a lot of fans happy. And I'm really excited to see his vision as well, you know. Right.
So I guess a big question, I mean, this is probably the question when it comes to the Ayer cut is it coming out?
I think so.
I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think that honestly, like it's coming out. Like,
I think like, I mean, if I was WB and I was planning to do it anyway, I would still have Ayer go through the motions.
Right.
That's just gonna
milk the fandom, let them, you know. But then, you know.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to dollars, really, and honestly, like, that's where it is. And I'm like of two minds with it. First of all, I think I like the Ayer idea rather than what the Ayer cut will probably end up being, because Ayer wanted to have more Steppenwolf. It was all going to be parademons instead of like the many-eyed monsters, whatever they ended up calling them. It was going to be like exclusively tied in, and this is going to be more like tonally there. Feels like the same universe, but it's not completely like like it's the side adventure, if we're using video game terms here, to what Justice League would be, which would have been great. I would have loved that. But more than that, like, I wish that this cut was coming before we get the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It could, you know, Jeff and I were talking before the roundtable today, and I mean, it kind of there's a lot of incentive for it to come out before. You know, there's a lot of reasons why it should come out before. I mean, even chronologically speaking, I think it'd be great if, like, you know, next month, like, the Snyder Cut's coming out, and you're just like over the moon. Say, hey, to get you prepped up, to get you warmed up, boom, Ayer cut.
We got one more thing
here, like, and then you're just like, watching the Ayer cut, and then he's like, oh, this is like the precursor, you know? It's like
it'd be hard to be too mad about that.
It'd be amazing.
You know, it's such an interesting point that Ryan brought up, because the thing is, we need to separate the idea of the Ayer cut and what he originally intended, right? Because I think it's been cleared up that originally in the writing he had Steppenwolf and all these parademons, but it wasn't necessarily shot, right?
Sure.
Because they changed it, they rewrote it. So that needs to be cleared up, honestly, because people might have the idea that we're going to see Steppenwolf, right, or all these parademons, but that might not happen. That's the other thing, right? So it's good to see his vision, but it might not even be his original vision. You know?
I look at the Ayer cut as kind of like the redemption for Joker arc, if you will. You know, after everything that happened there, and Mike kind of alluded to it earlier, you know, if nothing else, we get a lot more of him and gives kind of a, you know, there's that meme or whatever that went around where it was like all the other Jokers in the back as school kids, and they're pointing at him and just laughing at, like, I want him to be in that pantheon of the rest of those guys. And I hope that this will do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So the last question I kind of had, I guess, to kind of top off this, you know, this subject, this category, and I guess, you know, the podcast as of today. Do you guys think that this is the beginning of an HBO verse?
They need content, right? Even HBO Max needs content. So, and I think it would really help them because, okay, cinemas, right? And with COVID-19, see, like cinemas here in Australia are closed. And even if they're open, people might not go with the same amount of intensity as before. You know, the numbers might be less for at least another year, right? I'm guessing at least another year. So, and if they need content, why not? Right?
Sure.
Why not? And, you know, even if it's different, I think people would be open to the fact, like, if you look at Marvel, right? So Netflix has Daredevil and all the other shows, which are so different to the movies. But people still argue that, yeah, they're the same universe and it's the same thing as it is connected. So HBO Max can do the same thing. You know, they have some of the movies in the cinema and have the rest of the director-driven stuff on HBO Max. Why not?
You want those type of shows, if they do that, are you wanting that connected really tightly to the Snyderverse? Or are you just saying, hey, let's just have fun with this character tonally and do a series about it, but it's tonally matched, but it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with Zack's movies or his series or whatever form this takes, where he gets to complete his art. So I don't know.
I mean, complete the Snyder's vision, complete that vision. We need to see it, because otherwise, if they start anything else, it's just going to drive us nuts, right?
That's true.
It's been
that is
3-4 years, and if they just stop that halfway, we're gonna go crazy.
And then lastly, as of today, this is the newest, hottest breaking news. There was a clip reveal, 17 seconds of glorious black suit Superman. So that was released, you know, today during Zack's panel on the Justice Con. So what did you guys think about that? Did you? And also, I remember actually I saw it actually earlier today. Was it Dustin's name? He in his black suit edition also did the same thing. It was like 30 seconds, but
Really? Huh.
Right. It was also very, very similar. So what did you guys think about like the clip? Did it excite you? Were you like,
I'm gonna say great, but disappointing. Because I already knew it was there, you know. But I mean, I'm glad to see it, but like, I kind of went into that thinking like he's gonna show, I don't know, something with Aquaman that we've never seen before, just like some random thing.
Right.
And it was more of the same, but it was good. Same, if that makes sense.
This does cement the fact that, like, you know, this is from Snyder,
right?
And it's the black suit. So the black suit was in the movie. Like, that's at least that, you know, it's like more of a confirmation. It's not really like novelty, you know.
Well, that and like when people write about this, like the casual fan, because the community's gonna write about this now because Zack showed it, and it's not just one of our community artists redoing it. which that's awesome, but that's exciting for us.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, the clip was in our universe, but when Zach shows that, and then the blogs write about it, and YouTubers talk about it, and then the casual fan finds out about it, they're going to get excited. So that's going to draw their minds to it. So even though we've seen it, and from people in our circles, now everybody's going to see it.
I agree with you, Dustin, on that too. The only thing is, I know, unfortunately, a lot of DC and especially Snyder haters, and I know a lot of them came out of that just going like, figures he had nothing to show, and he's always hype and nothing to reveal. That's the kind of thing that I want to avoid when it comes to these things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Shut those guys down.
So, well, those people are so. You just made up something they'd say off the top of your head, or maybe they are saying it.
Because they're sitting there with their arms crossed, and they're going, "Yeah, show me what you got." And then they show them that, and they're like, "It was nothing." And it's even though it was great. I'm glad to see it.
They are Anakin Skywalker.
I understood that reference.
They're like, I hate you.
And they got nothing to harm us with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing there because it's going to be awesome and it's going to speak for itself. And that silver cape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty lit,
That charcoal gray was
I want to see more pictures and give me more stills.
I want to see that thing in the air.
Exactly.
I want to see the silver streak.
Along with that Junkie XL score, too.
That's something we didn't even get to talk about. The score is going to come back.
God.
Oh, man.
Just hearing it in the background of that video, like I was getting the feels all over again. And I'm like, this is
Wait, it was in the audio too?
It was very low in the background. Yeah.
But hey, that's proof. Proof.
So there was a lot of little things in that. So, and you gotta love the way that suit looked with the new metal under it.
Right. It's more contrast.
Covering it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they added all that metal and shine and tried to make it the Justice League suit just so overdone. It was eye bleeding.
Yeah, and the S wasn't, the wasn't center.
Anything that doesn't look like the Nicolas Cage suit makes me happy, frankly. So I'm good. Yeah,
right.
I want to see the blood on his fists. Yes. When he's punching Steppenwolf too.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You're gonna piss off a lot of Superman.
Oh no, I can't. Yeah.
I just don't want to see him carrying a building like some pizza man over like a skyline. It's just ridiculous.
Someone asked him if he wrote the thirsty line in Justice League.
Oh no, that's cringe, man.
What does that mean?
Yep. I like that it's the movie is just known as Justice League now. There was a clip of some reporter or someone talking about the movie, and they accidentally almost said Justice League instead of Justice. That was so funny. That was so funny.
I think Joss Whedon might be that might be his
curtain call.
What he's doing.
Oh, there's some shit going on with him. You see that he got canceled from his thing at Comic-Con?
I think this might be what he goes out on. Joss Whedon might be his peak.
He's getting Kevin Spacey out of here.
But she needs to, because I'm the guy in interviews is such arrogant, nobody knows better than me kind of guy, dude. And you cannot have that in the creative process.
Dude, he got kicked out of the MCU, then he went to the DCU, and then he got kicked out of that. And then he got kicked out of his own panel.
He knew how to talk a big game. He tried to save his own butt going back to, what was it, Alien Resurrection? Like, he blamed the entire cast. Like, it was not my fault in any way.
He was supposed to do that HBO show called The Nevers, and I think it's never going to happen.
Exactly.
How appropriate, man. You can paint a prettier picture. And I don't mean this in the negative way. So I'm really all about the hero's journey, and this guy just needs to get
back onto the right side of
that's right,
the hero's
dude.
journey. Yeah,
treat people with respect, and he needs to
right.
not the other
Hey,
stuff.
you know, we can laugh though. I mean, like, listen, you know, it's you know, it happened. You know, it's like, you know, just laugh with us and let's get over it together, right?
Exactly.
I'm not sure if there's anything else that you guys wanted to hit on. We pretty much we were pretty thorough with everything. I do want to go ahead and give a shout out though to C. Dustin author, Chris Dustin on Twitter. He's actually the one who did the Black Suit edition of the same scene we saw. It's a little longer, and it has him actually coming down and like talking to Alfred a little bit more. I'm not sure if we'll get like a longer version of the official one, but it's definitely a great way to visualize it. It's fantastic. So he did a really great job. And also, the RTSC released the Snyder Cut the movement page, fantastic page. Definitely follow if you haven't. I'd be really surprised if you're watching this video and you haven't followed it yet. But I guess if you haven't and you're watching this video, that means that this video is doing what it's supposed to. It's getting out there. So share this with all your friends who don't know about Snyder. Piss off your Snyder hating friends. We want that for sure. And yeah. So do we want to do any shout outs or plugs or, you know, your Twitter ats or your Vero ats, or if you're a complete hermit, let us know.
We can do that, yeah.
Dustin, what's going on?
I'm not on Twitter anymore, but on Vero at BTS 1186, still on there. So yeah.
Awesome, great.
Yeah, it's great to. I know we've probably crossed paths. I know Jeff and Michael really well, but Ryan and Rohan not as much. But you know, I'm glad to finally meet you guys, and I'm sure we've passed each other on the timeline a ton over the past couple of years. So.
In mutual. I'm used to it. Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, absolutely. Dustin, once again, he's a really great follow, really great guy, non-toxic discussion. You know, what else can you ask for, right? You know,
Right.
So follow him, get on Vero, follow Zach, follow Ray, follow all those peeps, and benefit and profit. Ryan, where can we find you at?
Good news. I am bringing the show back. So at the Nerd Rage Podcast on Twitter, or actually the Nerd Rage Pod, you can do that for pretty much anything, Instagram, Facebook, Vero too. I mean, we've got accounts all over. The episodes will be back probably starting next week as we recap everything from Comic-Con, maybe a little conversation about what we're doing right here, right now. And I'm just glad to be doing my thing with my buddy Brad. And we'll have a bunch more scoops and drop more details on my personal account, which is at Ryans_ramblings on Twitter. And that's kind of all I got for now. I'm just glad to have done this with you guys today.
Absolutely. Great to have you. And definitely check out Ryan's podcast. It's really great. All right, Rohan, what's going on?
Just Twitter mainly for now. So just at RO_CAD, CAD, RoroCAD. So that's it. I'm not really using other mediums as much, so just Twitter basically. So
you're not using, huh? Yeah,
not as much. Not as much. Trying to really just stay away from social media, but it's hard, you know, because Twitter, a lot of the action happens there.
Well, you woke up immediately, and then you saw my message on Twitter, so that doesn't sound like someone who's getting away from Twitter.
Yeah. No,
the first thing you did when you got up in the morning was you looked at.
I've kept the notifications on for messages, DM. So that's it. Notifications, not really. Otherwise, just every now and then I'll just go and see what's going on. But that's it. Yeah.
Well, hey, it's great to have you. You've been immortalized on the annals of YouTube. So, Jeff, where can we find you, my friend?
Perfect timing. My dogs just went crazy. Back up forever at Twitter, and then Jeff Purdy on Vero. I ain't got nothing, man. Like, just go out and donate to American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Do whatever makes you happy. That's what I'd plug. So.
Yeah, okay. Are you back up forever because you got canceled and you had to like make a new page and
you got canceled?
Why would you cancel Jeff?
Jeff is like the least cancelable guy. You can't cancel this guy. Yeah.
It's from an old video game. That's still around, Counter-Strike, and that was my handle on it.
Oh, backup forever? Okay.
Yeah, one of the hotkeys.
Oh, you're the backup, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. This was your backup account. Like, oh, you're always going to be in the backup, you know? Like, this is my last time I got canceled. I'm not going to get suspended anymore.
Yeah, man. Hey, this guy's talking crap about Snyder. I mean, man, right there.
Okay.
I'll fight anyone. I mean, on Twitter, that is. That's just words.
Okay. All right. Well, you can find me. I am a Millennial Mike at Velcro16. That's VELKRO16. That's Velcro spelled wrong with a K. You can find more of my content on my own podcast on the Exiles Net at Twitter at the Exiles Net. We're doing a lot of great work over there. A lot of Snyder
work.
Logo. Yeah, you know, Ryan may or may not have had something to do with that, you know. And he definitely didn't, you know, use that
as my better half for that one.
Incentive to get on this podcast. So that had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Anyway, we really appreciate you guys listening and tuning into the 14th installment. Remember, everyone, to stay tuned, stay safe, and remember to stay exiled. Release the Snyder Cut. Yeah.